a water pump sprocket, I guess you want to call that. I got that in. It's right here. Now, I don't know, on some websites like Little Honda, they say that you can put it in or take it out through here, like basically unscrew the sprocket off the shaft. I wasn't able to do that, so what I did is I took my oil pump off right here, and then unscrewed the sprocket off the shaft, slid the shaft in, then put the sprocket on the other side and took a screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, on the end of the shaft and just tightened it up. And then I slid my oil pump back in and made sure that they match up correctly there, with the shaft and that little knob thing inside here for it to turn on. Afterwards, now I've got this gear on right here, and it's just a little snap ring. Next is this one. Just slides over this collar right here. Doesn't look like it matters which side goes where. They both sides are pretty flat, so just slide it in between the gears. There you go, all done. So next is going to be the clutch. But before I put the clutch in, I've got the plates and everything to rebuild it. Here's my clutch right here. Here's my new plates. I got 3 new friction plates, and I also have new clutch springs. So the first thing you do, take your clutch, turn it upside down. You've got this little snap ring that goes all the way around. You just need a flat screwdriver and kind of pry it out here. See if I can do this with one hand. May have to put the camera down here. Just one sec. Let's see now. What? Yeah, I'll have to put the camera down for this one. Okay, I got the camera on a tripod here, so what you need to do is use a flathead screwdriver and just kind of pry the snap ring. See if I can do it with this screwdriver. It might be a little too big. There we go. There, just pry it up. There you go, done. Now when you take this apart, make sure you put it in order so you don't forget how it goes. If I find a diagram, it doesn't really show that well how this thing goes on and off. So here's one. Here's one of the friction plates. Here's another one. Now, to make it easier, you can take this off in the center right here. This right here. So, right down. I'm just going to take these off right here. And last, this one here, but that's just a metal plate, so I don't have any of those, and they're fine. I looked at them, they're not warped, they're not discolored, so I'm going to keep them. And there's little springs right here. And those ones, these seem fine, so I'm not going to change them. So here's my new clutches. I got 3 of them, or my clutch plates. So let's go with the first one. Okay, so I'll just take this. Does it match? Yes, it does. So you put it upside down. It's supposed to be a friction plate on steel, never like fiber on fiber. It's fiber on steel. And they say you should oil them up first because it's a wet clutch. So I'm going to get myself a little bit of oil, and I'm going to put some oil on them. Okay, if some are wondering what kind of oil I use Shell Rotella. diesel oil, 1540. I use it on my other ct70, and I also use it on my RM250, my motocross, my Suzuki. Works fine, no problem. Yes, it is a little thicker oil, but you won't have any heating problem, that's for sure. This oil is meant to be used in diesel. Diesel engine works really hard and it runs hot, and these ct70s or even my RM250 would never reach the same operating temperature as a diesel. So and everywhere I've read, a lot of people use it on their dirt bikes or whatnot, and I have to say so far I've got no problems. So I'm just oiling up the clutch right now a little bit. So you got to remember these are wet clutches, so they are in oil. I just don't want it to on the first startup, the clutch is sticking together. So there you go. So here's my first one, and I've just compared it to my old one. So just gonna drop her in. Oh yeah, first though you should put this back in though, just a lot easier. Okay, so this here slides right in. There's little knobbies right here, or little notches. This rides on it. So there you go, like this. And just keep doing that. Just keep putting your plates in, oil your plates up, and then drop the next one in, and so on. Okay, my clutch is back together. If you want to know if you put it back together correctly, what you do is you take that little gear that goes on that shaft, take that, put it inside right here. There you go. Now turn it clockwise, and it should turn no problem without any binding or anything like that, or any grabbing. Now turn it counterclockwise, and it should lock up. See? The whole thing wants to turn. The whole outer, everything wants to turn. So that tells me that I put it back together correctly. So this way should be free. This way should get no more than a quarter, maybe half a turn, but mine doesn't at all, counterclockwise, and it should lock up. That means you've put it back together correctly. Okay, now for the clutch springs. My clutch springs, right here. This is what they look like. I'll take one out. There you go, like this. Should have four of those. Just sit inside of this. I'll be taking these 4 screws off. This whole cover comes up. Now I'm going to replace these springs. So this is under tension. As you can tell, I've already loosened these up there earlier on in my build. As I was checking the clutch out, I checked the springs. My springs were testing fine. I used my calipers, and the manual said they should be at a certain tension, or no, I shouldn't say tension. You just basically put the calipers like this, and you measure width. I measured fine, but I figured, you know what, since I've got this thing apart, I may as well put new ones in. They weren't too expensive. No, I know I've been getting questions on my channel and where I'm getting my parts. To be honest, 90% of my parts, I'm getting them online. I'm going to eBay. And I'm buying them in the States. I'm in Canada. So for me to get parts for this in Canada, it's expensive. going to my local bike shop. It's not cheap. It's been cheaper for me to just getting them at my local bike shop. So I'm sorry, it's been cheaper for me to get them at eBay and buying them all over the States and having them shipped to me or to a box that I have up in on the other side of the at the border. So you just have to make that decision yourself. But all these parts, everything, you can get them online. There's no problem there. Okay, so I get the clutch apart. Plates are right here. There's a I don't know what you call this, basket, whatever. That's apart. Here's my new springs right here. Here's my old ones. Is there a difference? Yes, there is. I put them side by side. My new ones are taller. What does that mean? I don't know. Now, previously I'd said that I'd measured these and they were fine. Actually, not true. I've forgotten. When I measured these were the same measurements as the ones on the Honda 50. I don't know why. I don't know if this has ever been rebuilt. It sounds to me like it does because of the springs not being correct. But these ones here, I've ordered them right from Honda, so these are the correct springs. So anyway, we're going to put them in, and very simple. You just slide them in right here on these posts, like this. And both sides are flat on the bottom, so it doesn't really matter which way you put them. There you go. And your next step is to put these little springs right here. These are dampeners for when you're shifting, so it's not so hard on the clutch. It kind of absorbs a bit of the impact when the clutch engages. And you'll notice these little columns right here, whatever. And on the end, there's little holes, and this is where this fits in. And you got 3 of them. Got one here. I'm sorry, I meant to say you got 4 of them. Here, right here, and right here. And then this goes on top, fits on top. Now these little black springs right here, the ones that are dampeners, I don't know, that's why I call them anyway. There's a little notch on your cover right here, these little notches right here. So the ends of them go right inside. Kind of tricky to do, but you just have to fiddle around with it and you'll get it in. Okay, so my plate's back on right here. My springs are in. I've tightened this up. So the trick is, okay, this is the way I do it anyway. To put those little springs in, these ones right here, what I do is I take them off, put the big springs in. These ones, these are my old ones. You put them in, put the cover back on, push down, and you start tightening these up. Okay, tighten them up evenly, and when it's all nice and tight, then put these on. So basically, you just push them in that little hole right here, then take a screwdriver and compress it, and then let it go where it catches on this little notch right here. Now just be careful, they're under tension when you're pushing them, so that if you slip, they're going to spring, they're going to take off somewhere, and you're going to have a hard time finding them. But that's the best way I find to put them on, because they're a little tough to do, these ones right here.